I was bleeding on a marble floor, clutching a 3-year-old boy to my chest while men in masks tried to rip him away from me. Just a day earlier, I was nobody special, merely a struggling barista fighting to make ends meet. But in that intense moment, I became the sole barrier between this innocent child and the ruthless forces aiming to shatter his father's world. How did it all lead to this? How could one small gesture of compassion spiral into the most perilous yet profoundly rewarding choice I've ever made? Stick with me, because this tale will shatter your emotions and mend them anew. And I assure you, by the conclusion, you'll grasp why certain loves demand a fight, even if it demands your all. This is my journey, the account of how a single weeping toddler forever altered 3 destinies. Welcome to Tales from Nana. While you're listening, please tap that subscribe button, drop a comment with your thoughts on the story, and let me know where you're tuning in from. Have you ever experienced that pivotal instant where your existence divides into before and after? Where a solitary decision reshapes your entire reality? Allow me to share the evening when that occurred for me. My name is Emily Hayes, and a few years back, I was utterly ordinary, just another weary soul in New York City, grinding away to stay afloat. I was in my mid-20s, yet I carried the weight of a century on my shoulders. Each dawn, I'd rise at the crack of light to handle the morning rush at a cozy coffee shop in Manhattan. Then I'd dash back to my place, freshen up in a hurry, and slip into my evening attire for my shift at Elegance, the priciest Italian eatery in the Upper East Side. The outfit never quite fit me perfectly. No matter how diligently I laundered it, faint marks always lingered. I'd gaze into the mirror, tying my auburn hair back so snugly it throbbed, and I'd notice the weariness etched into my features. The shadows beneath my green eyes. The prominence of my features from skipping meals due to sheer fatigue. I was sinking, and no one seemed to care. That fateful night unfolded much like the others. The place buzzed with the elite clientele, film executives, finance tycoons, folks adorned with accessories worth more than my annual earnings. I navigated the tables with a forced grin, my feet throbbing, attending to patrons who scarcely acknowledged my presence. Then, around the dinner peak, the whole venue fell hushed. I glanced up from refilling a glass, and my breath hitched. Half a dozen men in sleek attire entered ahead, their gazes sweeping the space as if scouting for dangers. And then he appeared. I'd never witnessed anyone dominate an environment simply by stepping inside. He stood tall, towering well above average height, with raven hair impeccably groomed, and a profile chiseled like fine sculpture. His charcoal suit likely exceeded my yearly housing costs. But his eyes, they stole my composure. Profound hazel, nearly obsidian, captivating yet haunted. A young boy nestled against his neck, his small face hidden in the man's collar. Oh heavens, I overheard Marcel, our lead attendant, murmur nearby. That's Alexander Blackwood. The name didn't ring a bell for me, but the apprehension was palpable. Every staff member had retreated to the edges. Even our proprietor emerged from the back, fidgeting anxiously. Who is he? I murmured in return. Marcel eyed me as if I'd gone mad. Just steer clear of that section, Emily. Don't go near. Don't even glance his way. Got it, but my attention was already fixed on the youngster. The lad appeared no older than a toddler, clad in miniature formal wear. As his father attempted to place him in a secluded booth, the boy's soft whimpers escalated into gut-wrenching wails. Ethan, come on, the man's tone was resonant and authoritative, yet laced with urgency. Papa needs you to be strong. The cries intensified, raw and profound, stemming from deep sorrow. And it tore at my soul. I observed this imposing figure attempt every tactic, offering treats, vowing desserts, retrieving a plaything from his coat. None of it soothed. The child howled as if his universe was crumbling. And perhaps it was. Fellow guests began muttering, some requesting their bills prematurely. I saw Alexander Blackwood cradle his son tightly, murmuring inaudible comforts. This man, whom all dreaded, appeared on the verge of unraveling. My legs propelled me forward before reason intervened. Emily, halt, Marcel urged sharply. I ignored him. I had to act. The guards reacted swiftly, obstructing my approach. One gripped my arm firmly, not harshly. Miss, back off. I only want to assist, I replied softly, my focus unwavering on the distraught child. Then Alexander Blackwood's command sliced through the din. Allow her passage. The protectors parted seamlessly. I advanced cautiously, my pulse thundering audibly. In proximity, Alexander Blackwood was even more formidable. The defined contours of his visage, the luxurious scent, the aura of authority emanating like warmth. But I concentrated on the boy. Hello, little one, I murmured gently, lowering to his level. I'm Emily. The sobs faltered slightly. Ethan glanced from his father's embrace, his tiny cheeks flushed and damp. That's quite a storm of emotions for such a small soul, I proceeded tenderly. It's fine to feel upset. It's fine to weep. Please, Alexander implored, and the plea in his words pierced my core. He's been this way for weeks. Nothing calms him. Specialists claim it's morning, that time will heal, but I'm at a loss. Our gazes locked, and I perceived his mirrored anguish, barely contained. His mother, I inquired hushedly. Alexander's affirmation was subtle. Empathy surged within me. The lavish garb couldn't conceal his fatigue, the futility of a man mastering all save his child's heartache. Ethan, I cooed. Did you know, when my younger sibling felt down, we'd count fireflies? The weeping diminished to sniffles. Ethan regarded me curiously amid the moisture. Your papa seems incredibly sturdy. I wager he could lift you to brush the lights above. Fancy that. A transformation occurred then, one destined to redefine our paths. Ethan's grip loosened marginally from his father's fabric. Emily, Alexander exhaled, his timbre coarse with awe. I beamed at Ethan. But first, let's breathe deeply together. Ready, inhale. I showed him, and Ethan mimicked. Exhale. The boy's respiration stabilized. The outburst ceased. The establishment collectively sighed in respite. Well done, I hushed. You're incredibly courageous. The phrase escaped unbidden. He simply requires a maternal figure. My eyes widened at my blunder. Apologies, I didn't intend. You're correct, Alexander's murmur was faint. He scrutinized me as though I'd wrought magic. He does. Then the extraordinary transpired. Ethan extended toward me, his diminutive limbs outreach, and my breath seized. Please, Alexander uttered, that solitary plea from a man unaccustomed to supplication. Merely for an instant, I offered my embrace, and Ethan leapt in. His warm form pressed to mine. He encircled my neck and released a quivering breath, as if exhaling pent-up months. My vision blurred with unforeseen emotion. I traced soothing patterns on his back, rocking subtly as my own parent once did. It's all right, darling, it's all right. Upon looking up, Alexander observed us with an indefinable look, yearning blended with optimism. Something that warmed my skin and accelerated my heart. Your full name, he queried. Emily Hayes. Emily Hayes, he echoed deliberately, committing it to memory. How did you achieve that? I merely comprehended his needs. And what are those? I held his piercing stare. To feel acknowledged in his grief, that vulnerability is acceptable. A fissure appeared in Alexander's facade. I require you, he declared plainly. My heartbeat surged. Pardon, to aid Ethan. State your terms. I'm not merchandise, Mr. Blackwood. His mouth curved faintly. All possess a value, Emily Hayes. I maintain dual employments. All compensate beyond their sum. Quadruple it. He inclined nearer, his aroma opulent and mesmerizing. You possess a talent with him. 17 caregivers have faltered in recent months. You pacified him in moments. I'm no caregiver. I'm a barista. You're adaptable for survival, he observed. And the precision winded me. I recognize that. Thus, grasp this. My son necessitates you, and I safeguard his essentials. It ought to have alarmed, yet it resonated as a vow. Ethan slumbered on my shoulder, his breath serene. I gazed upon him, sensing alignment in my spirit. All contemplate, I murmured. Alexander extracted a card from his ensemble. dense ebony material with gold inscription. Solely a contact, not else. You have till dawn, he stated. Our digits grazed as I accepted, sparking a current along my limb. Don't delay unduly, Emily. His pronunciation of my name rendered it treasured. I'm not inclined to patience. He rose, tenderly reclaiming his dozing son. Briefly, we composed an odd tableau, the magnate, the barista, the slumbering tot betwixt. Then Alexander Blackwood departed, his detail encircling him, and I remained rooted, the card searing in my grasp. Sleep evaded me that night. In my cramped walk-up flat, no lift, dripping roof, I fixated on that card atop my makeshift table like a volatile artifact. My flatmate, Sarah, researched Alexander Blackwood and bombarded me with findings for hours. Finance mogul, launched a fintech firm in his early 20s that transformed digital banking. Now commanded vast swaths of Wall Street with stakes in sectors from hospitality to biotech. His spouse perished in a tragic mishap over a year prior. They'd been lifelong partners. Reports depicted him as merciless post-loss, obliterating rivals pitilessly, ingenious yet icy and formidable in commerce. You're deranged if you contact him, Sarah cautioned. He's a tycoon, Emily. Their realm isn't ours. He's a parent in distress. He likely devours types like you pre-dawn. I recalled Alexander's drained gaze, his fervent affection in cradling his son. Perhaps he's multifaceted. At dawn's edge, I dialed. He responded instantly. I anticipated your call. Sleepless as well, I ventured. Not since her passing, he confessed, his candor startling. I stipulate conditions, I asserted. Proceed. I'll assist Ethan thrice weekly. I retain my cafe role otherwise. And should I deem it unsuitable, I depart sans inquiry or repercussion. Quietude lingered. His reply hardened. You believe I'd harm for abandonment. I'm unaware of your actions. That's the concern. Another lull. Then, astonishingly, reasonable. I consent with an amendment. Which, you don't vanish sans explanation. If amiss, inform me. I can't amend the unseen. The exposure disarmed me. Agreed. My chauffeur arrives at mid-morning. Dress casually. Ethan enjoys outdoor frolics. Today, you've had the night to ready, Emily. And recall, patience eludes me. The line severed, and I lingered in the nascent glow, pondering my pact. Precisely at the appointed hour, a shadowed vehicle idled curbside. The driver ushered me in wordlessly, and I boarded, pulse racing. The Blackwood residence perched in the outskirts overlooking the city, concealed by towering barriers and wrought portals. As we traversed, my astonishment grew. The abode extended over expansive, impeccably tended grounds. Contemporary design, vast panes and crisp edges, with vistas spanning to the horizon. A mature lady with warm demeanor awaited at the entrance. Miss Hayes, I'm Margaret, the estate overseer. Mr. Blackwood awaits. The interior dazzled. Polished stone surfaces, expansive glazing, masterpieces fit for galleries. Margaret guided through chambers dwarfing my dwelling, and I felt profoundly misplaced. I yearned to vanish. We located Alexander in a grand salon, seated on the rug in tailored trousers and a crisp shirt, cuffs folded. Ethan was amid a tantrum, hurling items whilst bellowing. Alexander glanced up at our arrival, relief etching his countenance palpably. Thank heavens, he sighed. He's been thus since awakening. I deposited my satchel and strode into the turmoil composedly. I settled on the floor nearby, not encroaching, merely existing. That appears immense fury, I remarked casually. Vast, colossal, gigantic fury. Ethan flung another object. I experience ire occasionally too, I persisted. Recently, I was so vexed at my faulty coffeemaker I wished to hurl it afar, but it proved cumbersome, so I opted for cereal supper. Ethan's outcries mellowed to indignant puffs. He attended. Your papa appears quite concerned. Observe his expression. That's concern. I peeked at Alexander, who observed keenly. I wager words over tossing would clarify. Care to attempt? Ethan's visage contorted. Mommy, he breathed, and my core fractured. Crave mommy, I regarded Alexander, who petrified, pallid. I comprehend, dear, I soothed. I wager you ache for her profoundly. Ethan assented, fresh tears cascading. It's valid to yearn, to feel sorrow and rage. Your mommy adored you immensely, yes. Another assent. She'd desire your joy eventually. Not now, not soon, but sometime. Meanwhile, your papa remains. He's sizable and robust. Reckon he offers fine embraces. Ethan eyed his father dubiously. Alexander's timbre fractured. The finest, champ, I vow. The lad propelled toward his father, and Alexander ensnared him, clutching firmly, lids sealed as Ethan wept into his torso. I rose to afford solitude, but Alexander's grasp seized my arm. Remain, he rasped, please. Thus, I lingered, beholding a tycoon shed silent droplets into his son's locks, comprehending wealth mends not all. Grief equates across palaces or hovels. The ensuing weeks resembled a reverie. I synced with Ethan, shared meals on my visits, romped in the vast yard, narrated tales pre-slumber. He uttered Emily sweetly, then M, and my spirit soared when he dubbed me Mama M. And Alexander was intricate. He returned sooner, dined with us, partook in bedtime rituals, his frame crammed into a petite seat. I detected his constant scrutiny. As I twirled with Ethan to whimsical tunes, as I cleansed spills from his face, as I merely occupied his domain. The magnetism between us ignited from ember to blaze, mutually acknowledged. Your gazing once more, I noted one dusk post Ethan's repose. We lounged on the veranda, urban illuminations twinkling beneath like scattered gems. Inevitable, Alexander's timbre gravelly. He'd imbibed, his restraint waning. Know how long since I sensed beyond void? How long? I queried gently. Over a year, he neared. Then you entered that venue and regarded me as mortal, as valuable beyond fortune. You are mortal, Alexander. I've committed atrocities, Emily. In dealings, I've ruined existences. I've been merciless, detached, and yet you sculpt Ethan's snacks into animal forms. I interjected. I've seen you fret over a minor bruise. I've heard your tuneless serenades. That's you likewise. His palm ascended, bridging weeks of restraint. His touch grazed my jaw, eliciting shivers. You inspire improvement. You're already advancing. Effort counts. Emily, he cautioned, timbre deepening. If you linger, I'm immobile. He embraced my lips. Not tender. It was isolation, mourning, fervent craving infused in contact and sighs and grasps. I dissolved into him, digits entwining his tresses as he drew nearer, fearing evaporation. Upon parting, breaths labored, Alexander aligned brows. This risks much, he breathed. I realize. You merit superior. I'll judge my merits. He withdrew to appraise, his somber orbs fervent. You're shielded by me now. Comprehend that, you'll ensure my security, that I'll upend realms for your safety. None shall wound you whilst I endure. It should terrify, yet it kindled warmth. Then glass shattered. The clamor of fracturing panes echoed internally, trailed by yells and Margaret's shriek rending the eve. Alexander tensed wholly. He shielded me, a device materializing in his palm, thumbs darting. Remain rearward, he ordered. This was altered. Frigid, tactical, guardian. We progressed swiftly. Further clamor, Margaret weeping. We erupted into the hall to confront 4 masked intruders. One restrained Margaret by the neck. Another clutched Ethan, chilling my veins. The toddler shrieked, extending for his father, visage crimson and petrified. Blackwood, a masked figure growled, timbre coarse, wrathful. We've anticipated. Release them. Alexander's inflection glacial, lethally serene. This concerns us in Vanguard Enterprises. They're uninvolved. Nay, this enforces your compliance. The captor with Ethan advanced doorward. Yield those innovations or forfeit your heir eternally. We'll summon. You'll convey all, then perchance disclose his locale. Events blurred yet lagged. The assailants retreated with Ethan. Alexander surged, but duo masked barred. Margaret sobbed. Ethan pleaded for Papa, limbs outstretched. Thought deserted me. Action prevailed. I bolted toward Ethan. No, Alexander bellowed aft, yet I persisted. I attained Ethan's holder and wrenched him free, propelling backward. The foe staggered, astonished. Ethan liberated, I collapsed onto stone, enveloping the boy protectively. Shouts resounded, thuds of Alexander's guard swarming from concealment. Bellows, furnishings toppling. Then agony seared my flank as a foe grasped Ethan anew. Metallic, perhaps a blade. Uncertain. Blazing torment robbed air. Yet I clung. I endured. Emily. Alexander's timbre fraught with dread. Firm hands elevated me delicately. I gripped Ethan steadfastly, sensing his rapid pulse sinking mine. He sobbed, but secure. Paramount. You're safe, precious. You're safe. I've you, I breathed. Though my side ignited, moisture saturating my garb. Emily. Hemorrhage. Alexander confronted, pallor ashen, limbs quaking as they encompassed us. Heavens, hemorrhage. I glanced downward, attire sodden crimson, surroundings distant. I'm fine, I uttered. He's unharmed. Ethan's unharmed. You're not. Alexander's timbre splintered as he enfolded us. His digits trembled tracing my features, tresses, assessing. You magnificent, reckless, valiant lady. You risked fatality. So did he, I murmured, vertigo swirling. But you, he faltered. His hold intensified cautiously, cognizant of harm. You interposed sans deliberation. Medics materialized swiftly. Authorities too, yet they yielded to Alexander, querying subdued, departing promptly. Noted amid haze. A medic pried Ethan from my clasp for examination. The laceration profound yet non-fatal. Stitches requisite. Abundant stitches. But recovery assured. I beheld Alexander cradle Ethan, soothing tenderly, palms inspecting his son meticulously for assurance. The devotion, ferocity, lingering horror of near loss. Utterly. When he entrusted Ethan to Margaret, unscathed though rattled, he pivoted to me with breath-stealing regard. You preserved my son, his timbre fracturing. Any would. Nay, he traversed in strides, tender with my wound. None else would. You unhesitatingly shielded, selfless. His palms cradled my countenance delicately. I adore you, he confided, core halting. Absurd, premature, yet witnessing your peril clarified. I adore you, Emily. It petrifies me. I lack expertise, but I adore. Tears trailed. Terrifying, I echoed. And mad. And I adore you likewise. His grin dawned like sunrise. More terrifying. Laughter liberated, joyous, homecoming. Ethan ambled, wedging betwixt, clasping our hands diminutively. Stay, he decreed earnestly. Stay, forever. I eyed Alexander through moisture. He reciprocated, orbs brimming and spoken, forthcoming. Forever, we chorused. Medics conveyed me hospital ward. Alexander accompanied, clasping my hand throughout. Ethan dozing in his alternate arm. Despite ache, procedure, recuperation, wholeness enveloped me unprecedented. Occasionally love summons courage, and courage bestows unanticipated necessities. Dawn subsequent, I awoke in secluded ward amid blooms. Alexander slumbered chairside, garb stained crimson from prior. Ethan nestled lapward. My stir aroused him. Hey, he softened. Sensations, like impaled, just attempted, timbre hoarse. Indeed so. His mandible clenched. Dozen stitches, Emily. Near death, yet not. Ethan's secure. Essential. He rose meticulously, positioning Ethan, nearing bedside. He enveloped my hand. We must discuss Yesterev, he hushed. Those intruders from Vanguard Enterprises. I declined vending certain advancements, tech weaponizable. Pressured months, menaces, security present, yet unforeseen home invasion, Ethan threat, your harm. Alexander. Nay, permit conclusion. He compressed gently. Comprehend affiliation implications. I'm not merely affluent, Emily. Adversaries abound, competitors leveraging all. They'd exploit you, Ethan, for gains. Yesterev evidenced. Thus, my core descended. I declare adoration, Lord, profound adoration, petrifying. Yet adoration entails peril, escorts, threats, eves akin last. Normalcy unattainable, safety unassured despite endeavors. I pondered silently, seeking detachment, honesty for choice, choice rendered, I affirmed. Rendered sprinting toward Ethan, not fleeing. Rendered loving both. Am I insufficiently resilient, Emily? I interposed Ethan's peril impulsively. Nay, lovingly. You, I shan't permit fear dictate. His facade fractured, bravest encountered, or maddest, that likewise. He beamed, yet dimmed. Should you persist, stipulations. Escort perpetual, defense training, disclosure absolute, anomalies, instincts awry, affirmative. Grave, Emily, intel preserves in my sphere. Comprehended. He paused, then softly. Authorities apprehended last eve, linked vanguard head, yet potentials linger. Rivals perceive you vulnerability now. Your Ethan safeguard newsbound. Your Emily Hayes, barista rescuing Alexander Blackwood's heir. Notoriety targets. Burden descended, unwavering, undeparting. Obstinate female. You cherish it, I. He inclined tenderly, wound aware, kissing softly. Providence aid, I. Subsequent weeks metamorphosed existence. Relocated estate, safer herein, Alexander urged. Relinquished employments, needless, I require you present. Commenced defense with his cadre. Absorbed his realm, declined innovation surveillant, privacy invasive massively. Refused despite fortune's proffered, integrity non-negotiable. You're virtuous, I conveyed one dusk observing Ethan yard frolic. Businessman deciding business. Forfeited fortune's privacy guarding, beyond business. He drew nearer, wound cautious. You evoke aspiration to your vision. Already so. Months post-assault, Alexander returned as veranda initial embrace. Sunset-bathed city amber roseate. Emily, he voiced, timbre anxious. Alexander Blackwood, anxious, swift, realm hazardous intricate undeserved. Yet he extracted compact case, breath seizing. Life's seconds precious. Recent moons instructed. Love precious, I love you. Love your Ethan affection. Love valor, tenacity, optimism universal. Case unveiled radiant emerald encircled ring. Wed me, Emily, Ethan's mother formally. My spouse. Permit lifetime deserving endeavor. Tears flowed. Affirmative, I breathed. All affirmative. His limbs trembled ring sliding, then kiss promise eternal. All safeguard, he vowed lip ward. I affirm, yet all safeguard you. Partnership essence. Partners, he reiterated wondrously. Delightful. Years hence, I oversee our yard where Ethan, matured, cavorts with sibling Olivia. She pursues giggling as he grimaces comically. Mama, behold, Ethan summons cartwheeling. Splendid darling. Mama fully now, since nuptials intimate kin circle. Life's pinnacle. Robust limbs encircle waist rearward. Alexander's chin shoulders, palms protective over burgeoning third. Content, he murmurs, unimaginably. Life co-forged. Complex, occasionally alarming, unequivocally ours. Alexander vigilant, tactical, love-encompassing security. Declined innovations eventually open-sourced ethically, weaponization barred. Billion gesture principled, I deem character evidence. Adore you, I declare arm turning. Adore more, he responds kiss soft. My valiant, tenacious, flawless spouse. Ethan dashes, colliding legs. Olivia trails, Alexander elevates both, eliciting glee squeals. I observe kin, improbable flawless kin, recollecting venue Eve toddler ceaseless weep. Approached enigma unthinkingly, embraced love unreservedly, recollect Eve's self-thrust peril Ethan guard. Agony, fear, yet repetition instantaneous. Finest narratives commence boldest selection. Occasionally unknown stride locates home. Occasionally weeping taught guides destiny. Life imperfect, security persists. Vigilance, yet mutual. Love, family erected brave instant pain acknowledgement forward step. In that, companions, alters all. If tale stirred soul, if braved love amid fear, comment beneath. Share needing love chance affirmation. Worthwhile eternally. Intel forthcoming, recall occasionally peril beautiful. Love summons valor, valor response bestows unanticipated necessities. Gratitude story hearing. Presence appreciation. To expand this script to approximately 1 hour, I've added deeper emotional layers, extended dialogues, and additional subplots. Here's the continuation with more details on their relationship building, challenges, and resolution. As the weeks turned into months, our bond deepened in ways I never imagined. Alexander began opening up about his past, sharing stories of his late wife, Isabella, with a vulnerability that made my heart ache for him. One evening, after Ethan had fallen asleep clutching his favorite stuffed bear, Alexander led me to his study, a room filled with leather-bound books, glowing screens displaying stock tickers, and a massive desk that screamed power. He poured us both a glass of aged scotch, his hand steady but his eyes distant. "Emily," he said, sitting across from me on the plush sofa, "I need to tell you more about who I am. About the man behind the headlines." I nodded, sipping the warm liquid that burned pleasantly down my throat. Isabella and I met in college. She was studying art history, I was buried in code and algorithms. She softened my edges, made me believe in something beyond balance sheets. When she died, his voice trailed off, and he stared into his glass. "The accident was no accident, was it?" I asked gently, piecing together rumors Sarah had shown me. He looked up sharply, then sighed. "No, it was a hit meant for me. A rival company, bitter over a deal I outmaneuvered them on. They targeted my car, but she was driving. That day, the guilt, it consumes me sometimes." I reached for his hand, intertwining our fingers. "That's why you're so protective. Why you built this fortress around Ethan. And now around me." He squeezed back. "Yes, and it's why I hesitate with you. You're bringing light back into our lives, but I fear the shadows will follow." That night, we talked for hours. He shared tales of his rise from a modest background. His parents were teachers who encouraged his tech passions, to becoming a powerhouse in fintech. I opened up about my own struggles. Growing up in a small town, losing my parents young, scraping by in the city with dreams that seemed forever out of reach. Our vulnerabilities wove us closer, turning attraction into something deeper, more resilient. But life wasn't all smooth. There were challenges that tested us. One afternoon, while Ethan and I were baking cookies in the expansive kitchen, flour dusting our noses and laughter filling the air, Margaret rushed in, her face pale. "Miss Hayes, there's a reporter at the gate. They want a statement about the hero barista." Alexander was in a meeting, but his security handled it swiftly. Later that evening, as we sat down for dinner, Alexander's jaw was set tight. "The media frenzy is starting. Stories about you saving Ethan are everywhere. Some paint you as a gold digger, others as a saint." "I don't care what they say," I replied, feeding Ethan a spoonful of mashed potatoes. "As long as we're together." But it affected me more than I admitted. Whispers followed me during rare outings, guarded, of course. Friends from my old life distanced themselves, overwhelmed by the spotlight. Sarah even called, worried. "Emily, are you sure about this? It's like you're in a movie, but movies have villains." "I am sure," I told her. "This is real love, Sarah. Not the fairy tale kind, but the kind worth fighting for." Then came the threats, subtle at first. Anonymous emails to Alexander's company, hinting at knowledge of our routines. He ramped up security, installing more cameras, assigning me a personal bodyguard named Victor, a stoic man with a kind smile hidden under his stern exterior. I trained harder in self-defense, learning moves that empowered me, made me feel less like a damsel and more like a partner in this world of high stakes. One night, as thunder rumbled outside, Ethan had a nightmare about the masked men. He woke screaming, and we both rushed to his room. Alexander held him, rocking back and forth, while I sang a lullaby my mother taught me. As Ethan drifted back to sleep, Alexander turned to me, eyes glistening. "Thank you for being his anchor." "Our anchor." I kissed his forehead. "We're in this together." Our relationship blossomed amid the chaos. Romantic dinners on the veranda became our sanctuary, candlelight, soft music, conversations that ranged from silly what-ifs to profound dreams. Alexander surprised me with thoughtful gestures. A first edition book of my favorite poems, a weekend getaway to a private island with security, naturally, where we walked beaches hand in hand, Ethan building sandcastles nearby. Intimacy grew naturally, our first night together a blend of passion and tenderness, his touches reverent, as if afraid to break something precious. "You make me feel alive again," he whispered in the afterglow, tracing patterns on my skin. "And you make me feel seen," I replied. But the shadows persisted. Vanguard escalated their pressure. A mole in Alexander's company leaked sensitive data, causing stock dips and boardroom panic. Alexander worked tirelessly, often late into the night, his office a war room of strategies and calls. I supported him, bringing coffee, listening as he vented. One tense evening, he slammed his laptop shut. "They're not stopping, Emily. I might have to confront them directly." "Be careful," I urged, wrapping my arms around him. "Remember what you stand for." He did. In a bold move, he exposed Vanguard's unethical practices in a press conference, turning the tide. Arrests followed, and the threats dwindled. Our wedding was intimate, on the estate grounds under blooming arches. Ethan, as ring bearer, beamed proudly. I walked down the aisle in a simple gown, my heart full. Vows exchanged. Promises of protection, partnership, unwavering love. Honeymoon in Europe, guarded but magical, strolling Paris streets, Ethan marveling at the Eiffel Tower. Years later, with Olivia's arrival, our family grew. Challenges came, postpartum blues for me, business rivals for him, but we faced them united. Alexander mentored young entrepreneurs, giving back. I started a foundation for grieving children, inspired by Ethan's journey. Looking back, that crying child in the restaurant was fate's whisper. Bravery led to love, love to family. If this resonates, share your brave love stories below. Remember, love's call to courage often yields the greatest rewards. Thank you for joining Tales from Nana. Until next time.